Good, happy Tuesday morning, February 11, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's begin. Today is a big day in New Hampshire. Today is primary voting day. First in the nation, primary voting is today. Go out to the polls and vote, everyone. We have lots of primary voting information to get to you, so let's dive in right now. First step, voter information. How to register, polling places, voter ID, and report problems. We're going to give you all that information right now. Here is some important information about voting in New Hampshire. Primary election day. Today, February 11, voters may register at polls. Not sure where to vote? Go to the Secretary of State's website to search by name or address. Are you registered? Check your party registration. Problems at the polls. Contact the moderator at the polling location. If your problem is not addressed, the New Hampshire Attorney General has set up a voter hotline to report problems or ask questions. Voters may call 1-866-868-3703 or 1-866-VOTER-03 on Election Day. Information on registering and voting. To vote. And if you want to see all this information again, we will share it with you after the broadcast. Don't forget to go out and vote today, everyone. First results of 2020 New Hampshire primary are in. Amy Cullenbulger, Donald Trump lead. Midnight voting took place in Dixville, Notch, Hart's location, and Millsfield. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Let's listen in. Here's number 2.
Number 3.
Les will take my place, and then we'll take now Joe Casey and Tom will switch over. Tom's going down to cast his ballot. Of course, even though everybody knows it, everybody here, you still have to show that ID.
There you go. That's what happens in this day and age, right? Of course, the Tillotson family has been involved with this process for so many years.
And with this, the New
Yes,
Hampshire
as we
primary is
mentioned, it was,
underway.
As we mentioned, it was Tom's dad that started this whole voting here at Dixville Notch, Neil Tillotson. Tillotson name very prominent here.
I wonder what he's doing in that booth.
Casting his ballot.
You know, Tom and Jen, I don't think I've seen this much attention for 5 votes unless it was a Supreme Court decision.
Yes. It's so much fun. It really is. And now one more to go, I believe, right? Now we got the other moderator there, I
Yep,
believe.
showing his ID.
Showing his ID. He'll go into the booth. And then do we have the big reveal right away, pretty much, Ray? And that will be the vote number 5 in the booth now. We're live in Dixville Notch, New Hampshire for the first votes in the 2020 New Hampshire presidential primary as we wait for one more vote to be cast before the voting box will be opened, and we'll get the results very shortly.
And this should be number 5.
It's official.
We should now close the polls. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The polls are closed. We will now begin the count. Okay,
So- Now the count begins. Jen, I'm a nervous wreck.
Well, the official tabulation is now underway.
they've closed the polls now, Don, and Tom's opening up the ballot box to begin the count. This is what Deborah's seated. Joe Casey is seated here. Right.
As things get underway in just a couple of moments here, we're going to know the results for Dixville Notch. Not necessarily a bellwether in particular.
The secured ballots are about to be examined.
And Don, we're about to have the count right now. And I'll try to step aside real quick and take a shot of the board here. You can see this. They bring in more Democratic, put in 5 Democratic candidates in here, President Trump and Bill Weld.
This is how you count ballots, the
We're
old-fashioned.
about to do the count right now. They're actually tallying the votes.
One vote for Mike Bloomberg.
There's 1 vote for Mike Bloomberg.
One vote for Mike Bloomberg.
It's not on the board, we're going to write him in there.
They have to write this one up onto the
So,
board.
I'm going to keep counting here. As we wait for them to count,
Tradition, Dixville Notch tradition in terms of write-in votes. In the past, there have been very few write-in votes here in Dixville. Excuse me, just a second. Tanner.
precinct. Is there candidates do fly?
1 vote for Bernie Sanders here.
So they do come here, Don, and there is a lot of interest here with the candidates coming and putting in their mark.
Pete Buttigieg. So certainly Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg leading in the latest polls, and here in Dixville Notch, they are tied, running neck and neck so far. With 2 votes still to be counted.
We have at least 1 for Pete Buttigieg. The moment is at hand.
1 vote for Mike Bloomberg.
Oh, another write-in vote for Mike Bloomberg here. Again. This is unusual for Dixville Notch to have write-in candidates.
results. On the Republican side.
Okay,
You ready for it?
he's going to announce it.
The Republican, there was one vote cast, and it was a write-in for Michael Bloomberg.
Republican for Republican side.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
that's right. The red one. One vote.
One vote for Michael Bloomberg.
And now on the Democrat side, there was one vote for Buttigieg, and one vote for Sanders, and two write-in votes for Mike Bloomberg.
Wow. So certainly a big surprise there, Jen. Mike Bloomberg, the big winner here. Two write-in votes on the Democratic side and one on the Republican. And that's without campaigning here in New Hampshire at all. Certainly there were some ads on TV and there have been ads elsewhere around the country, but it remains to be seen what this means going forward. Not necessarily in New Hampshire, but also down the line in the campaign.
Well, I'd say it's one for the record books, that's for sure, Ray Brewer. So apparently a big upset in Dixville Notch tonight. 3 Michael Bloomberg votes, 1 Pete Buttigieg vote, and 1 Bernie Sanders vote. Bloomberg getting 1 vote on the Republican side and 2 votes on the Democratic side. Both write-ins.
Write-ins, okay.
Okay, and there you go. The results in Dixville Notch. President Donald Trump embraces New Hampshire Live Free or Die motto at primary eve Manchester rally. Before huge crowd, President shades Democrat candidates mumbling Pelosi. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
While the extreme left has been wasting America's time with this vile hoax, we've been killing terrorists, creating jobs, raising wages, enacting fair trade deals.
In a packed SNHU arena, President Donald Trump got right to the point, slamming Democrats for leading the impeachment charge against him and dismissing any potential threat from the White House hopefuls about to be tested on the first-in-the-nation ballot.
My only problem is I'm trying to figure out who is their weakest candidate. I think they're all weak.
The president once again revived the claim, which has been investigated thoroughly by the state and disproven, that there was a widespread voter fraud conspiracy in New Hampshire in the 2016 election to prevent Trump from winning.
And it was very, very close, even though they did. But this year, you know, we have a great governor, Governor Sununu, great governor, Chris. And now you get prosecuted if you do what they did. So it should be a lot different.
Vice President Mike Pence was also in the state, sounding very upbeat about taking on whichever Democrat emerges in the general election.
Really, this whole field of Democrat candidates, including their frontrunner, Bernie Sanders, is about more government on socialist policy.
So an epic night within an already hypercharged political atmosphere here in the Granite State. One fun fact coming from airport officials tonight, they say it's the first time in recent memory they can recall seeing Air Force One and Air Force Two next to each other on the tarmac at Manchester-Boston Regional Airport.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sanders thanks supporters on eve of New Hampshire primary. Democratic presidential candidate criticizes campaigns for taking donations from billionaires. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse Leclerc.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Well, Jen Sanders kept it very brief earlier today, talking to his supporters for about 10 minutes. Now, he told that crowd today that in one day on Saturday, his canvassers had knocked on 20% of the doors in New Hampshire. He says that is key to the success of this campaign, supporters getting the word out to their friends. And he also criticized Mayor Pete Buttigieg and former Vice President Joe Biden.
One of the things that differentiates our campaign from other campaigns, my friend Mr. Buttigieg and my friend Joe Biden, they have dozens and dozens of billionaires contributing to their campaign. I think in both cases, they have more than 40 billionaires contributing.
Tonight at 7:30, he will host a concert rally from the campus of UNH. Live in Hudson, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Buttigieg says he can build broad base of support. Democratic presidential candidate holds rallies on eve of primary. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
And take a look at this. You can see voters lined up here outside Hampshire Hills Athletic Club, where they're waiting to get inside and meet Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Mayor Pete Buttigieg, in about an hour from now. He kicked off his day at Plymouth State University, telling the crowd not to listen to other Democrats questioning his age or political experience. He says he can rally a wider base, a wider voting base to win.
We will be working together in a way that makes us proud. I don't believe that because I am young. I don't believe that as a matter of naivete. I believe that as a matter of experience. Having seen in a war zone what Americans can do to work together, having seen in my own city how a place left for dead can pick itself back up.
And from here, Buttigieg holds a rally tonight in Exeter. We are live in Milford tonight. Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Warren hopes for strong showing in New Hampshire primary. Candidate focuses message on ending corruption in Washington. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
She certainly did. We had about 10 minutes alone with Elizabeth Warren, one-on-one, prior to her event here at the Opera House in Rochester. She reflected on her campaigning here in New Hampshire and weighed in on the current primary system. The crowd of over 200 included many Warren event veterans, a man from Sweden who said he flew over just to see her campaign, a lot of older folks in the crowd, and a few babies. Warren told WMUR she loves the personal touch campaigning in a small state offers, but fell short of backing the first-in-the-nation primary going forward.
Right now we're in the middle of one, so we need to make it through this, but afterwards I think we need to have a conversation about how we're thinking about it and how we make sure that our primary system truly reflects all of America and that everybody's getting a voice in that.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Biden tells voters he can beat Trump on economy. Former vice president says economic strength begin under Obama. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Monica Hernandez.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Well, Tom, doors are set to open here in less than 45 minutes now. It's the former vice president's final push before the first ballots in the nation are cast. And earlier this afternoon, Biden thanked volunteers at his campaign field office in Salem. He told them he feels good ahead of tomorrow's First in the Nation primary. Biden kicked off the day with a Get Out the Vote event in Guilford, where he said he's ready to take on Trump, including on the economy.
Trump talks about the longest job growth in American history. 112 months of increased employment and growth. Trump has only been president for 35 of those months. But guess where he got that good economy from? Obama-Biden administration.
Biden's event here tonight is set to begin at 6:15. Live in Manchester, Monica Hernandez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Large crowd greets Colin Boucher on eve of primary. Colin Boucher says she has momentum before voters head to the polls. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Amy Klobuchar addressing hundreds of supporters inside Exeter's town hall. This room fits about 500 people, and it filled quickly. Some people had to go into an overflow room above the stage. They made their presence felt by stomping their feet loudly on the floor whenever they approved of something that she was saying. The Minnesota senator loved it and made sure to mention that her campaign is on a surge after the last debate. She says her campaign has raised $3 million since Friday.
Hello to the people in the overflow room. Sorry. I love that. They're finding a way to express themselves. We hear your voice. Just don't break this place down.
The next stop for Senator Klobuchar is Rochester for another Get Out the Vote event. In Exeter, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Weld meets with voters at diner in Manchester. Former governor says he can reach out to Republicans who don't like Trump. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld visited a popular breakfast place in Manchester today. Weld held a satellite radio interview at the Red Arrow Diner. Then he met with voters. The Republican believes his message works with people in his party who were turned off by President Trump.
My strategy is to try to get more women out and voting, more younger voters. Millennials are now the largest voting bloc, as I think the president's policies go right against their interests.
Weld says he knows he has an uphill climb, but says anything can happen in politics.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Gabbard Yang reached out to voters before primary. Yang says his divided plan would help all Americans. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is no stranger to town halls. She's due here at the Rex Theater in Manchester within the hour. But earlier this afternoon, we caught up with Andrew Yang at 1. It was the third of his 6 campaign stops today. The 45-year-old entrepreneur talking about his math approach to understanding how our technology economy can use to shift from trickle down to trickle up. His idea of a $1,000 a month dividend to all Americans 18 and over, coming from companies like Facebook and Google, who he says are taking our data for free.
And this is the only way we're going to rebalance the most extreme winner-take-all economy in the history of the world, which we're in right now, and make it work for both families and big companies, for both rural towns and big cities.
Yang believes he'll do well tomorrow because he believes he resonates across the political spectrum. Meantime, we're here for when Tulsi Gabbard starts her town hall. Live in Manchester, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bennett pitches progressive real deal before New Hampshire voters head to the polls. Democratic presidential candidate talks to college students. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Michael Bennett wrapped up what he calls his real deal road trip today. He spoke to students at St. Anselm College. The Colorado senator held town halls throughout the Granite State, highlighting what he describes as his progressive real deal. It tackles issues surrounding Medicare, education, and the middle class. Tonight, Bennett will head to Dartmouth College, where he will speak at the New Hampshire College Democrats' First in the Nation Eve meeting.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Patrick reaches out to undecided voters in New Hampshire. Democratic presidential candidate says his campaign's energy is high. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Democratic presidential hopeful Deval Patrick says he's not keeping an eye on the polls as he makes 3 campaign stops in the state today. He also met with voters and was interviewed on satellite radio at the Red Arrow Diner in Manchester as well. The former Massachusetts governor says his goal is to meet potential voters and let them know where he stands.
Everybody's energy is high. We're out
still meeting voters, still meeting folks who are either undecided or unconvinced by one of the other candidates.
Patrick also had stops in Concord with the Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, and in Manchester, speaking with voters at the Bookery.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's take a look at your Commitment 2020 New Hampshire primary candidate tracker for Tuesday, February 11th. And we have a few candidates on the list with events today. Joe Biden, Nashua primary night, 8 p.m. at 11 Terra Boulevard in Nashua, New Hampshire. Tulsi Gabbard, Manchester primary night, 7 p.m. at Patucci's Music Hall, 1087 Elm Street, Manchester, New Hampshire. And Elizabeth Warren, Manchester primary night, 7 p.m. Executive Health and Sports Center, 1 Highlander Way. And there's other candidates that have some events tonight. As the results come in, they're holding events. Let's get to a couple of other news stories for you. Maine man charged with second-degree murder in Stratham death. Robert Pavot, 20, held without bail. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The New Hampshire Community Loan Fund is tackling some of the Granite State's biggest problems, like the shortage of quality, affordable childcare and early education. Your donation to the Capital Impact Challenge can have a profound impact. Give today.
Authorities say they received a 911 call about 4:30 in the afternoon on Sunday and responded to the Timberland headquarters in Stratham. Prosecutors say inside the building they found a 46-year-old woman dead and took 20-year-old Robert Paveo into custody. Authorities say both of them worked for the company, Paveo as a security guard, but would not say if they knew each other.
So the investigation is less than 24 hours old. Right now, authorities are doing is trying to piece together what connections, if any, there existed between these two parties. So that's an ongoing process right now.
Authorities have not yet identified the woman, but they hope to do that on Tuesday when they get autopsy results. Paveo waived his arraignment this afternoon in Superior Court and is being held without bail. In Brentwood, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. U.S. features point to a higher open on Wall Street with virus and earnings in focus. U.S. stock index features are pointing to a higher open on Wall Street Tuesday as stocks look to continue Monday's rally. Chinese military accused in 2017 Equifax breach. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Four members of China's military indicted in the massive hacking of the credit reporting agency Equifax that exposed 145 million Americans' private information. The Justice Department claiming they were part of a special military unit involved in a deliberate and sweeping intrusion into the private data of Americans. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, tonight.
Tonight, U.S. law enforcement, for the first time, accusing the Chinese military of being behind perhaps the biggest hack of Americans ever. The FBI claiming today that these four members of China's People's Liberation Army were responsible for the 2017 breach of Equifax, one of the nation's biggest credit reporting agencies.
The scale of the theft was staggering.
The theft included the names, dates of birth, and social security numbers of nearly half the U.S. population. Also stolen the driver's license numbers of at least 10 million Americans. The Attorney General saying the hack imposed substantial costs and burdens to the victims.
They had to take measures to protect themselves from identity theft.
And beyond the massive privacy breach, authorities say the computer hack is part of the broader plan by China to commit economic espionage.
All right, so let's get to Pierre Thomas. He's live in Washington tonight. And Pierre, Attorney General Barr making another headline today saying that he will accept information about Ukraine from President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, which could include information on Joe Biden and his son, Hunter.
That's right, David. Barr and his department says that they will take a look at any allegations from Giuliani, but he warned that, quote, such information should be viewed with skepticism. David?
Pierre Thomas with us live tonight. Pierre, thank you.
Hi. Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report going up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.